As early as the 1600s, there are historical accounts of people in rural villages encountering children who seem to have pitch-dark eyes, no sclera showing, looking pale and expressionless. While the locations vary, the accounts tell a similar tale. The children approach a villager's home, often in pairs, looking for shelter, food and comfort. Fearing the emotional toll that turning away children in a violent storm would take on them, the victims who let the children in do so at their own peril. They are then often stricken with a series of inexplicable events, such as sudden fever, violent mysterious gashes appearing on livestock, fellow townsmen falling ill, and disappearances of the victim without a trace. The following is an account of such an encounter in the mid-1800s that left a long trail of devastation, including chilling unexplained endings to all who encountered the black-eyed children and their victims. The small village of Blackthorne, nestled in the misty hills of rural England, was a place of tranquility and tradition. Its cobblestone streets and thatched roof cottages seemed untouched by time. But in the autumn of 1823, a series of mysterious events began that would shatter its peaceful veneer. It started with the arrival of a travelling carnival, a spectacle that drew villagers out of their homes and into the eerie glow of gas lamps and flickering torches. Among the exotic animals and curious performers were two children with eyes as black as coal. They performed simple tricks, but their presence left an unsettling feeling in the hearts of those who watched. The carnival moved on, but the children stayed. One night, young Sarah Finch, a seamstress known for her kindness, was found dead in her home. Her face was frozen in a mask of terror, her eyes wide open, staring into the abyss. The local doctor could find no cause of death. As whispers of foul play spread, an elderly villager, Mrs. Tisdale, recalled seeing the black-eyed children near Sarah's home on the night of her death. Fear began to grip Blackthorne as the villagers locked their doors and windows, dreading the night. News of the mysterious death reached London, and Inspector Edmund Clark, a man known for his tenacity and intellect, was dispatched to investigate. Clark arrived in Blackthorne with a sceptical mind, ready to dismiss the villagers' superstitions. But as he examined Sarah's lifeless body and spoke with the terrified townsfolk, he couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was at play. Clark decided to delve deeper into the children's origins, unaware of the horrors that awaited him. Chapter 4. The Journal. Clark discovered an old journal in the village library written by Agatha Tremblay, a midwife who had lived in Blackthorne 2 centuries earlier. The journal recounted encounters with black-eyed children who brought misfortune and death wherever they went. Tremblay had documented her own terror and the strange occurrences that followed the children's arrival. Clark felt a chill as he realized the same events were unfolding once again. Determined to uncover the truth, he vowed to find the children and put an end to the curse. Chapter 5. The Second Death. As Clark continued his investigation, another villager, a blacksmith named Thomas Reed, was found dead under similar circumstances. His wife claimed to have seen the children peering through their window the night before. The village was now in a state of panic, and Clark knew he had to act quickly. He decided to set a trap, hoping to capture the children and force them to reveal their secrets. But his plan would lead him into a confrontation far more terrifying than he had imagined. Chapter 6. The Encounter. Clark staked out the village square where the children had last been seen. As the clock struck midnight, a thick fog enveloped the square and the temperature dropped. Suddenly the children appeared, their black eyes gleaming in the darkness. Clark confronted them, demanding answers. But the children spoke in riddles, their voices cold and emotionless. They told him of an ancient curse that bound them to the village, a curse that could only be broken by a terrible sacrifice. Clark realized that the deaths were part of a ritual, but he needed more information to stop it. Chapter 7. The Hidden History. Clark sought out the oldest living villager, a reclusive woman named Eliza Thorncroft. She revealed that the black-eyed children were the spirits of twin siblings who had been sacrificed centuries ago to appease an ancient deity. The ritual had gone wrong, trapping their spirits in a limbo between life and death. The only way to end the curse was to perform a counter-ritual, one that required a willing sacrifice. Clark was horrified, but he knew he had to find a way to break the curse without more bloodshed. Chapter 8. The Ritual. Clark gathered the villagers in the church, explaining the dark history and the need for a counter-ritual. Fear and suspicion were rampant, but the villagers agreed to help. As they prepared for the ritual, the black-eyed children appeared, their presence causing candles to flicker and shadows to dance. Clark began the incantation from Agatha Tremblay's journal, hoping to banish the children and end the curse. But as the ritual progressed, a terrible force began to manifest, threatening to consume them all. Chapter 9. The Sacrifice. In the chaos, one villager, a young man named William, stepped forward. He had lost his family to the curse and was determined to end the suffering. With a heavy heart, Clark realized William's sacrifice might be the only way. The villagers watched in horror as William offered himself, his blood sealing the counter-ritual. The black-eyed children screamed, their forms dissolving into mist as the curse was lifted. The church fell silent, and the villagers mourned their losses while hoping for a brighter future. The death ceased, and Blackthorne began to heal. Clark stayed in the village, helping the villagers rebuild and documenting the events for future generations. He discovered that the black-eyed children had been seen in other parts of the country, and he vowed to track down the source of the curse. As he delved deeper into the occult, Clark realized that the children's appearance in Blackthorne was just a small part of a larger, more sinister plan. Years passed, and Blackthorne slowly returned to normal, but Clark knew that the curse was not truly gone. One night, as he was preparing to leave for another investigation, he saw the black-eyed children standing at the edge of the village. They had returned, their presence a dark omen of things to come. Clark understood that the fight was far from over, and he resolved to uncover the truth behind the children's existence and put an end to their terror once and for all. Clark's journey led him to an ancient abandoned monastery, where the deity that bound the children's spirits resided. Armed with the knowledge he had gathered and the courage of a man who had faced the darkest of horrors, Clark prepared for the final confrontation. In the depths of the monastery, he faced the black-eyed children one last time, their eyes filled with a sorrow that transcended time. As he performed the final incantation, the ground shook, and the spirits of the children were released, finally finding peace. Clark emerged from the monastery, forever changed by the experience, but determined to continue his quest against the forces of darkness. The village of Blackthorne never forgot the terror of the black-eyed children, but they also remembered the bravery of Edmund Clark, the man who faced the darkness and brought them back into the light. In the village of Ravenswood, nestled deep in the English countryside, the summer of 2023 marked the resurgence of a chilling legend. Villagers began to speak in hushed tones of two children who appeared at the forest's edge, their eyes black as coal, void of any whites or pupils. The siblings, a boy and a girl, seemed lost and out of place, their pale skin contrasting sharply with their dark, soulless eyes. Despite their unsettling appearance, the kindly local librarian Emma Hartley took them in, offering them shelter and warmth. That night, however, her life was irrevocably altered. Emma was found dead in her bed the next morning, her face contorted in a mask of terror, her heart stopped without any apparent cause. Sightings always involved children vanished as mysteriously as they had appeared, but their presence left a trail of fear and death in their wake. Families who encountered the black-eyed children were plagued by misfortune. Technology malfunctioned, pets disappeared, and inexplicable illnesses spread. The legend grows with more sightings each year, becoming a part of modern folklore. Superstitious whispers claimed the children were harbingers of doom, spirits of the damned seeking revenge for a forgotten wrong. A recent digital record from an elderly local historian, Eliza Cartwright, detailed her encounter with the black-eyed children, describing how their chilling gaze seemed to pierce her very soul, leaving her bedridden with a sudden mysterious fever that took her life days later. As the months passed, the story of the black-eyed children began to spread on social media, but the fear they instilled lingered. In the winter of 2023, a young historian named Jonathan Thorne discovered Eliza's digital journal on an old USB stick in his grandfather's attic. Fascinated and horrified, he delved into the dark history of the black-eyed children. His research uncovered a disturbing pattern of death and despair stretching back centuries, suggesting the children were not mere myth but a malevolent force that transcended time. Thorne's obsessive pursuit of the truth led him to the ruins of an old chapel deep in the woods, where he disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only his notes and a chilling reminder of the darkness that once again stalked the quiet town of Ravenswood.